We've all heard it, haven't we? That tired, simplistic piece of advice given so freely it has become a cultural mantra. If he's not reaching out, it's because he's not interested. I am here to tell you that this is not only an oversimplification. It is, in many cases, a complete and utter lie. A man's silence is a language far more complex and nuanced than a simple binary of interest or disinterest. If you don't learn to understand what his silence truly means, you are destined to keep misinterpreting everything, leaving you in a perpetual state of anxiety, confusion, and self-doubt. After years of helping countless women navigate the painful labyrinth of modern dating, women who ask, "Why isn't he calling? Why doesn't he respond to my messages? Why did he just disappear without a single word of explanation?" I came to a realization that left me frozen. The problem isn't that these intelligent, capable women can't read the signs. The problem is that they have been meticulously taught, from a very young age, to misread the language of male silence. Think back. Since they were girls, they were fed a diet of romantic fairy tales and blockbuster movies that taught them a specific script. They were told that if a man doesn't pursue you relentlessly, it's because he's not truly interested. They were told that love is demonstrated through constant communication, an endless stream of texts and calls. They were told that if he really loved you, he would want to message you every single day. All of these romanticized lies have conditioned women to interpret every silence as a personal rejection, every pause in communication as a sign of waning interest, and every moment without a notification as a red flag that something is terribly wrong. Today, we are going to dismantle that confusion once and for all. A man's silence is rarely random, nor is it some indecipherable mystery without an explanation. It is a signal, often a powerful and clear one, that serves as a reflection of what is truly happening inside of him. By the time you finish reading this, you will know exactly how to respond when he doesn't reach out, and you will learn to do so without losing your center, your peace of mind, or your invaluable personal power. Before you dismiss this and say, "But I already know all this," let me ask you a question with radical honesty. The last time a man you cared about didn't message you for 2 days, did your energy remain steady and calm? Did you successfully avoid the obsessive ritual of checking your phone every few minutes? Did you manage to prevent your mind from creating a cascade of worst-case scenarios about what could be happening? If your answer is anything but a resounding yes, then you need to stay with me until the very end. As the great psychologist Carl Jung once said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. His silence is not just about him. It is a mirror reflecting your own inner world. The ancient philosophy of Stoicism can be your anchor in these turbulent emotional waters, helping you to interpret his distance without sacrificing your personal power. And here is what no one ever tells you about this profound philosophy. It is not about becoming cold, detached, or insensitive. It is about learning to remain unshakably centered while the chaotic world and the people in it move around you. This next part may sound harsh, but it is a truth you need to hear. Sometimes, a man's silence is an unconscious tactic to observe how you react when he pulls away. Not all men do this with malicious intent, but it is a dynamic that plays out with startling frequency. And here is the part that pains me the most to admit. This unintentional test often works. Have you ever found yourself composing those carefully casual messages after he has gone quiet for days? "Hey, how are you? Just checking in, is everything okay? Haven't heard from you in a bit, hope all is well." You gently probe asking if he's all right. You might even find yourself creating a narrative to explain his silence, or worse, justifying why you haven't texted him, as if his silence was your responsibility to break. If any of this sounds familiar, then he is seeing exactly what he may have wanted to see, whether he knew it or not. That you are, to some degree, emotionally dependent on his attention for your own sense of well-being. And here is what truly breaks my heart. I have seen the most incredible, intelligent, and powerful women who run successful businesses, who raise children on their own, who have conquered enormous life obstacles, completely lose their power and crumble when it comes to interpreting male silence. These titans of industry and pillars of their families transform into insecure, anxious versions of themselves when a man they are interested in doesn't respond to a simple message. Some men, whether intentionally or not, distance themselves to see if you will give chase. If your world begins to crumble in their absence, if you demonstrate that you need them to feel okay, the dynamic shifts. It becomes an unintentional psychological experiment where your reaction tells them everything they need to know about the power they hold over your emotional state. Here is the secret that nobody tells you. Every time you react with desperation to his silence, every time you allow your emotional energy to plummet because of his absence, you are handing over a piece of your power that he hasn't earned. You are teaching him that he can control your emotional state without even having to be present. But here comes the most important and empowering part. Stoicism teaches us that your value is not defined by who reaches out to you. Your value is defined by how you stay centered and true to yourself when they don't. A woman who remains grounded when he doesn't call, who continues to live her rich, full life as if nothing has changed, who doesn't shift her vibrant energy because of his absence. That woman is the one who truly holds the power. Do you know what happens when a woman doesn't react to the silence? When he eventually returns, because sooner or later, they often do, he doesn't find a woman who was anxiously waiting by the phone. He finds someone who was busy living, working, creating, laughing, and connecting with her own world. He finds a woman whose life is just as full and meaningful with or without him. And that difference, believe me, is a palpable energy that he feels immediately. It is the difference between neediness and wholeness, and it changes everything. Now, let's explore a truth that may hurt at first, but will ultimately set you free. Sometimes, his silence is not a punishment, a manipulation, or a test. It has absolutely nothing to do with you at all. He is simply and utterly focused on his own goals, his own pursuits, his own problems, or even his own distractions. He is prioritizing himself, and in many cases, that is exactly what a focused man should be doing. Men often possess an ability to compartmentalize their lives that can be incredibly difficult for many women to understand. They can become fully immersed in a work project, a family issue, or a personal goal, and during that period of intense focus, their romantic relationships can temporarily take a backseat. This is not because they don't care. It is because that is how their minds are wired to process challenges and pursue objectives. This can be incredibly frustrating, especially when you, on the other hand, do have time for him. You are thinking about him. You consciously make space in your day to send a message, to check in, to maintain that thread of connection. And he, in return, seems totally disconnected from that reality. But here is the profound revelation that changes the entire game. His silence is a perfect, divine invitation for you to return to yourself. It is the universe gently whispering in your ear, while he is occupied in his world. It is time for you to build yours. When was the last time you went days without a single thought, wondering if he messaged you? When was the last time you were so engrossed and passionate about your own projects that you completely forgot to check your phone for his texts? When was the last time you woke up vibrating with excitement about something you were going to do for yourself, not something you were hoping he would do with you? These questions can be uncomfortable because they reveal a stark truth: how much of our precious emotional well-being we have outsourced to someone else's hands. They show us how much of our daily happiness depends on the fluctuating attention we receive from others, instead of the consistent, loving attention we give to ourselves. You are not born to be a moon orbiting around someone else's planet. You are your own glorious, self-sustaining universe, complete with your own goals, dreams, and priorities. You have a life to build, milestones to reach, people to love, and experiences to live. So, while he is in his world, build yours. While he is silent, find your own voice and sing your own song. While he is distancing himself, use that opportunity to come closer to yourself. And here is the beautiful, almost magical thing that happens when you truly do this. When you genuinely focus on enriching your own life, when he inevitably comes back because his project will end, his focus will shift. He will not find a woman who is waiting for him. He will find a woman who is busy, focused, and alive. He will find a woman with new stories to tell, exciting projects to share, and an interesting, vibrant life to invite him into. He will find a woman who did not need him to be happy, who did not put her life on pause waiting for his attention, who did not allow her world to go grey because he went silent. And that difference in energy, believe me, he will feel it instantly. There is a completely different, magnetic charge in a woman who is happy and whole on her own, versus one who needs outside validation to feel okay. Now, we have arrived at the part of the conversation that no one wants to face, but that we must address with courage and grace. Yes, sometimes a man's silence is a clear and simple message of disinterest. It is a harsh truth, but it is a truth nonetheless. And the sooner you can accept it, the sooner you stop fighting a battle against reality, the faster you will free yourself from the agonizing grip of illusions that only serve to drain your energy and spirit. Here is what I have learned after years of watching wonderful women cling to men who clearly make no effort. Your attachment is the real enemy, not the loss of the man. It is your attachment to an idea, to a fantasy of his potential, to what could be, that causes the prolonged suffering, not the reality of what actually is. Do you know the fundamental difference between a woman who suffers for years over a man who doesn't value her and one who frees herself quickly? The second woman understands a crucial universal principle. If he leaves, it is because something, or someone better, is on its way. She does not waste her precious time trying to convince someone to love her. She does not exhaust her soul trying to prove her immense worth to someone who is incapable of seeing it. The woman who frees herself quickly understands that true, healthy love does not require convincing, chasing, or diminishing yourself just to keep someone interested. And let me tell you something that might sound controversial, but it is a truth you need to absorb deep into your bones. A man who loses interest for no valid reason, who disappears without any explanation, who lacks the basic human decency to communicate his feelings, is actually doing you a monumental favor. He is showing you exactly who he is before you invest any more of your valuable time, your emotional energy, or your sacred hope in him. He is revealing his true character, his communication skills, his level of emotional maturity, and his capacity for respect. And if all of those things are glaringly lacking, Do you really want to build something serious and meaningful with a person like that? The universe has strange and mysterious ways of protecting you. Sometimes that protection comes in the form of a deafening silence. Sometimes the best and most loving answer you can possibly receive is no answer at all, because that absence tells you everything you will ever need to know. Here is what happens when you courageously shift your perspective on this. Instead of seeing his lack of interest as a personal failure or a reflection of your inadequacy, you begin to see it as valuable data. Instead of asking the soul-crushing question, "What did I do wrong?" you begin to ask the empowering question, "What is this situation telling me about him and his suitability for me?" But there is also another reality that we cannot ignore. Many men were simply never taught how to express their emotions effectively. Their silence may be their conditioned way of processing stress, confusion, fear, or even their own emotional immaturity. Society often raises men to believe that vulnerability is a weakness, that talking about feelings is for women, and that they must be stoic problem solvers who figure everything out on their own. So, when they feel emotionally overwhelmed, their automatic, deeply ingrained response is to withdraw, to process in solitude, to disconnect temporarily until they feel they have regained control. Here is what Stoicism teaches in this situation. Do not carry what is not yours to carry. His internal struggles, his inability to communicate, his chosen methods for dealing with stress, those are his burdens, not yours. It is not your job to be a detective, to decode his every silence, or to interpret everything as a personal rejection. Sometimes his silence says far more about his inner world than it does about your personal worth. A man might be drowning in anxiety and not have the language to explain it. He could be grappling with a bout of depression and not want to drag you down with his low energy. He might be facing severe financial problems and feel that he cannot be the man he wants to be for you until he fixes them. But here is the crucial point where you must reclaim your power. Understanding all of this does not mean you have to tolerate it indefinitely. Compassion does not equate to blind acceptance. Empathy does not mean you must sacrifice your own fundamental emotional needs. It is not your responsibility to fix him. However, it is your responsibility to decide whether you want to be with someone who handles their emotions in that specific way. It is your choice to determine whether you can accept those periods of silence as an integral part of who he is, or if you require a partner with more developed emotional communication skills to feel safe and secure in a relationship. Because understanding why someone acts a certain way and choosing to build a life with them are two very different things. You can understand, and you can still decide that it is not what you want for your life. That is the ultimate act of self-love. This is not a matter of compatibility. It is a matter of fundamental needs. A relationship cannot be sustained on guesswork and anxiety. And now, we arrive at the deepest and most transformative part of our journey together. This is the perspective that changes everything. Instead of viewing his silence as a personal offense, a slight against your worth, or a signal that you need to do more to win his affection, I invite you to ask a different question. What if this silence is not a punishment, but a sacred moment of grace? What if this is the perfect, divinely orchestrated opportunity for you to return home to yourself, to grow with wild abandon, to focus on your path, your projects, and your own brilliant essence? This is the reframe that liberates you. His silence becomes an opportunity. His absence becomes an invitation. His distance becomes the fertile, open space you need to grow into. The next most powerful version of yourself. What would happen in your life if, instead of anxiously asking, "Why isn't he reaching out to me?" you asked with genuine excitement, "What magnificent thing can I create for myself while he's not here?" What would happen if, instead of waiting for his message to validate your day, you focused on sending powerful messages of love, encouragement, and appreciation to yourself? What if you used this time of quiet not as a period of lack, but as a period of rich abundance, a time to reconnect with the dear friends you may have unintentionally neglected, a time to finally finish that online course you left halfway through, a time to launch that passion project you have been postponing for months or even years, a time to return to the gym and feel the strength surging back into your body, a time to lose yourself in those books that have been gathering dust on your nightstand, and a time to explore those hobbies that once set your soul on fire. Real, unshakable power is never about controlling another person's actions. It is about achieving absolute mastery over your own response to them. While he stays silent, you can become stronger, fuller, and infinitely more interesting. While he is absent, you can become profoundly and beautifully present in your own life. I have witnessed, time and again, women who have used a man's perplexing silence as the very catalyst that completely transformed their lives. I have seen women launch businesses, go back to school to finish a degree, reconnect with a circle of friends who adore them, and rediscover passions they had buried because they were too focused on tending to a relationship. And here is the beautiful, inevitable outcome. When a woman undergoes this kind of powerful transformation in his absence, the entire dynamic shifts. When he returns, he does not find the same person he left. He finds someone more powerful, more centered, and more complete. You are no longer the woman who waits anxiously by the phone. You are the woman who chooses if she even wants to answer. Because here is a fundamental truth that few truly understand. Healthy, masculine energy is powerfully drawn to women who have rich, full, passionate lives that exist entirely beyond them. Men are not attracted to women who need them to feel whole, but to women who want them yet do not desperately need them. This distinction is the core of everything. His silence, in its own stark way, does something remarkable. It strips away all the distractions. It leaves you completely alone with yourself. And in that quiet, sacred space, the most essential question of your life arises. The one that defines everything. Who are you when he doesn't respond? That question is brutal in its honesty, but it is absolutely necessary because it reveals, with perfect clarity, exactly where your power lies and where you have been giving it away. When he doesn't respond, do you lose yourself? Do you feel a hollow emptiness creep into your chest? Do you begin to question everything about your worth, your attractiveness, your very being? Do you dissolve into an anxious, insecure, needy version of yourself? Or, in that silence, do you meet a woman who is strong, centered, and gloriously complete all on her own? The answer to that question determines everything. It determines how men perceive you. It determines the kinds of relationships you attract into your life. It determines whether your personal power is real and self-generated, or if it is merely borrowed, dependent on the validation of others. This is the fundamental difference between a woman who lives for male attention and a woman who lives from her own center. The first woman crumbles in the silence. The second woman blooms in the solitude. And here is the fascinating thing about those women who bloom in solitude. They rarely experience long periods of silence from men who matter. Why? Because men can feel their energy. They sense that these women are not desperate for attention, that they will not fall apart if no one reaches out. that they have a full, rich, captivating life that exists with or without a romantic relationship. Men can feel when a woman has options, not just in terms of other men, but in terms of how she sources her own happiness. They can sense when she is not attached to a specific outcome, when she can be perfectly, genuinely fine without them. And that energy, an energy born not from need, but from wholeness, is absolutely magnetic. The true battleground of Stoicism is not in conquering others, it is in conquering yourself. And when you do that, when you become your own primary source of validation, peace, and happiness, other people's silence stops being a threat and simply becomes an opportunity. But let me be completely honest with you. Getting to this point of emotional sovereignty is not easy. It is not a quick fix or a simple mind trick. It requires deep, courageous inner work. It requires you to face your deepest insecurities, your most profound fears, and your long-standing patterns of emotional dependence. It requires building a truly authentic, loving, and trusting relationship with yourself. Many women ask me, but how do I stop caring when he doesn't reach out? And my answer is always the same. The goal is not to stop caring. The goal is to care more about your own peace of mind than you do about his attention. The goal is to build a life so rich, so meaningful, and so full of purpose that his silence is incapable of emptying it. It is about having so many vibrant sources of joy, satisfaction, and connection in your life that the absence of this one source doesn't destroy you. And here is what truly excites me to tell you. When a woman achieves this state, when she truly builds that internal solidity, it doesn't just change her relationship with men. It changes everything. It transforms her relationship with her work, with her friends, with her family, and most importantly, with herself. Because the same inner power that allows you to stay centered when he doesn't reach out is the very same power that helps you negotiate for a raise at work with confidence, set healthy boundaries with your family without guilt, and choose friendships that truly nourish and uplift you. So now that you understand the real reasons that might lie behind a man's silence, we reach the only question that truly matters. What will you do with this information? How will you apply it to your real life? Because understanding is only the first step. Knowledge without action is merely entertainment. Transformation becomes real only when you change how you respond, when you integrate these principles into the fabric of your daily life. Here is what I want you to do. The very next time he doesn't reach out, I want you to pause. Before you pick up your phone, before you start composing that casual message, before you allow your mind to create a whirlwind of negative stories, I want you to stop. Take a deep, calming breath and ask yourself a powerful question. What do I truly need right now? Not what you think you need from him, but what you need. Do you need peace? Do you need to move your body and go for a walk or a run? Do you need to call a friend who makes you laugh? Do you need to work on that project that makes you feel alive? Do you need to simply take some time for yourself? And then, I want you to do that. I want you to give yourself exactly what you need, instead of waiting for him to give it to you. Because here is the magic that unfolds when you do this. When you become your own source of care, attention, and validation, and when you treat yourself the way you truly deserve to be treated, you naturally begin to attract people into your life who treat you the same way. His silence is not a command for you to go chasing after him. It is an invitation for you to return home to yourself. Every time he doesn't reach out and you stay centered, every time he doesn't reply and you remain focused on your own life, every time he disappears and you refuse to disappear from your own existence, you are building something that no one can ever take away from you. Your personal, unshakable power. I want you to understand this on the deepest possible level. This power is not just about attracting better men. It is about living a better life. It is about sleeping peacefully at night. It is about waking up excited for your day. It is about making decisions from a place of clarity and self-worth instead of a place of fear and lack. Because listen, it is one thing to intellectually understand that you shouldn't chase a man who doesn't pursue you. It is something entirely different to feel that truth in your bones. To feel, with every fiber of your being, that you truly deserve someone who puts in consistent effort, who communicates with clarity, and who doesn't leave you guessing about his intentions. Here is what I have noticed in every single woman who goes through this profound transformation. They stop justifying behavior they once tolerated. They stop making excuses for men who do not prioritize them. They stop settling for crumbs of attention when they know, without a doubt, that they deserve the whole feast. And do you know what the most liberating part of all this is? When you stop chasing someone who doesn't look for you, you instantly create an open, welcoming space for someone who will. When you stop pouring your precious energy into one-sided relationships, that energy stays with you, and you can use it to build something beautiful and lasting. I have seen women come back to me after applying these principles, and they all say a version of the same thing. I cannot believe I used to tolerate so much silence. I cannot believe I once panicked over the attention of someone who clearly wasn't that interested. I cannot believe myself. Worth used to depend so heavily on male attention. And that is the real transformation. You don't just change how you react to silence. You change what you are willing to accept. You elevate your standards. You revolutionize your relationship with yourself. Because here is a truth you need to carve into your heart. The woman who stays firm without begging, without giving up, and without losing herself, is the woman no man ever forgets. Not because she is playing hard to get, but because she is impossible to replace. And do you know why she is impossible to replace? Because she is not following a script she learned in order to attract men. She is simply being, powerfully and authentically, herself. She is living from her truth, from her power, from her center. That kind of profound authenticity cannot be faked. It cannot be copied. It cannot be replaced. It comes from years of inner work, self-discovery, and learning how to value herself without needing external validation. I want you to know that not every woman arrives at this point at the same time. Some need to go through painful experiences to be awakened to their power. Others realize it right away. Both paths are valid and okay. The important thing isn't how long it takes. It is that you hold the intention to get there. It is that each day you make choices that bring you closer to becoming that powerful, centered woman, the one who doesn't beg for love because she knows she deserves it without ever having to ask. His silence might be a test, a distraction, an internal conflict, or just plain disinterest. But your response to that silence is what defines who you are. It determines whether you come out of this experience weakened or empowered. And the skills you build to stay centered during a man's silence are the exact same skills that will make you thrive in every single area of your life. So, the next time he doesn't reach out, instead of asking yourself what you did wrong, ask yourself what you can do right for yourself. Instead of waiting for him, find yourself. Instead of chasing him, build a life so interesting that he would be lucky to be a part of it. Not out of your need, but out of his genuine admiration. Instead of asking, "Why isn't he texting me?" ask, "What masterpiece can I create today?" Instead of checking your phone obsessively, check your list of goals obsessively. Instead of analyzing his last words, analyze your next steps. Because at the end of the day, this was never about decoding male silence. It has always been about building an inner world so strong, so rich, and so complete that no one else's silence could ever shake it. It is about creating a life so full of purpose, passion, and joy that no single person's absence could ever drain it. It is about being so whole on your own that anyone who enters your life is a wonderful bonus, not a desperate necessity. And that is not being cold or closed off to love. It is the opposite. It is loving from a place of fullness, not from a place of lack. It is offering the best of yourself because you have so much to give, not because you are hoping to get something in return. When you reach that point, you will realize that the power was always within you. You just needed to remember it. You just needed to reclaim it. And you just needed to decide that you deserve to be loved the right way, by someone who chooses to stay, not by someone you have to convince.